Alright, this is going to be another semantic rant, although this one is probably going to lead to me elaborating on many terms that I bring into this, because this seemingly very simple word I'm bringing in is going to have a lot of ramifications in terms of, well, the other words I'm going to bring in. But I'll let those words come to me as I'm doing this. The word is irreligion. I-R-R-E-L-I-G-I-O-N. Basically, religion with an I-R at the beginning. And the tendency that I've tried to define it as is not a opposition to religion or purely philosophy either, because that's a whole issue about the definition of religion itself. With irreligion, the term I could go with is that it's more free thinking. Of course, that's going to be a term I'm going to try to do in the next one, hopefully. Term free thought, but I'll define that later. But to not elaborate on now, basically, to say this is that irreligion is a type of free thinking term, an umbrella term for free thinking systems that depend more upon reason, empiricism, just generally being skeptical of things, you could say, which is a whole other term itself, skepticism, which I can bring in as well. But a system that doesn't depend on solely anything that's believed without evidence for it in some significant sense, not in the abstract sense, like one could claim they have evidence for the existence of a deity by personal experience or by extrapolating from supposed design in the universe, or the extrapolation that there must be a first cause, or an uncaused cause rather, because of the simple relation between cause and effect, and causality in itself. But aside from that, within, say, irreligion, one believes these things because they believe that it makes logical sense, and it makes sense inherent of itself, not because someone tells you it, not because of dependent upon tradition or faith, that is faith as a belief without evidence. So there we go. But we can keep elaborating on irreligion, because you would ask, well, if irreligion is something of a free thinking idea that is dependent upon principles and virtues of reason, of rationality, of logic, of empiricism, of skepticism, and such, then what terms might fall under this? Well, there's a number of them. Some of them including atheism, agnosticism, humanism, actually, which I did a rant on. Was my third one. Humanism. Then we have some other terms that are a little more foreign, such as agnosticism. That's agnosticism, except you take off the A and put an I in its place. And then we have apatheism, and we have anti-theism, which, of course, is something that is something that exists, but it's not exactly what atheism and the other such things are. And then we have another term that could be argued to be somewhat obsolete in terms of definition, and that's a term called non-theism, which is somewhat related to atheism, which I'll elaborate on when I'm doing the term atheism, probably coupled with non-theism in the semantic rant itself. But we can keep considering here, because we can keep elaborating particularly on the fact that there are definitional issues with things like trying to say exactly what is irreligious, because the systems, say, of deism does consider itself free thinking, I believe, in terms of that it depends upon natural reason that we possess, and not upon revelation from some outside source, or some transcendental force that gives you this knowledge, and you don't have to consider whether it's true or not, you just believe it. But of course, if we have a system like that, I think the issue to consider is what conclusions it comes to, as opposed to the method it uses, because that would make my earlier definition obsolete, because if the method is not about free thinking, but about what conclusion you come to, naturalist or supernaturalist, as the term is coined, then only systems that come to a conclusion that the material world is all there is could be considered irreligious, because a system like deism that concludes that there is some sort of supernatural being, albeit distant from the human existence, then we can't necessarily consider it irreligious, unless you go into the other definition of religion, which equates it with solely things like revelation, dogma, and general rules, or what you could call a kind of legalistic sense of what religion is defined as. But if we consider religion as ultimate concern, then I suppose the most simplistic definition someone could give you is irreligion is saying that you really shouldn't have an ultimate concern. Perhaps you should have provisional ultimate. You shouldn't have an absolute ultimate concern. We all have ultimate concerns, whether we tend to accept it or not. Even nihilists, you could argue in some sense, have an ultimate concern, that is the absurdity of existence and the pointlessness of it. But to consider something irreligious, I guess, could be considered that the ultimate concern is only provisional. It's not something that you cling to. It's not something that you depend on to give meaning to your life, because meaning in your life to an irreligious person is something you construct day by day, minute by minute, instant by instant. So there we go. I could do a second part on this, but basically I want to leave it as it is, that irreligion is quite a complicated word, even though we could easily just boil it down to simply being a non-believer. Well, that's tricky, of course, because there are other ways we can define this, and there are things that could fall under it that are otherwise you can consider religious, like Buddhism, deism. I forgot to bring in Buddhism, things like that. But then I guess that's how my rants are always going to end, with not really having much of a conclusion, except that there are diversity of definitions. Alright, thanks for listening, hope you enjoyed it. Expect maybe one more video to be uploaded tonight. Thanks.